Janelle Marie Sorote, and I'm so glad to be back with Petunia Pentagon to help make physics just a little bit more fun. On November 21st, 2022, NASA's Orion capsule landed on the moon, and it's been 50 years since a capsule has landed on the moon since the Apollo program. And the capsule itself reached a record-breaking orbit with test dummies instead of astronauts in it. Regardless, Orion is part of the Artemis program, which is NASA's plan to first establish a base on the moon and then also lay the groundwork to settle on Mars. There are also a lot of private companies such as SpaceX that have brought back beautiful pictures of the planet with their robots and rovers. But this begs the question, will humans go to Mars? Or rather, should humans go to Mars and colonize it? Though Mars colonization is on the precipice of possibility with the fast advancement of science and technology, the debate on if we should go to Mars still remains. Looking at the physical challenges alone, mainly that Mars is different from Earth and is essentially inhospitable, there's a lot of work to be done to travel to and create a self-sufficient settlement on Mars. This would mean that billions of dollars will be thrown into space instead of in the hands of people in need on Earth, or into innovative solutions to, well, example, the climate crisis. But the debate also revolves around political, social, economical, and ethical issues. It is simply a greedy idea to claim that becoming a multi-planetary species will save us from extinction. And we must also note of the imperialistic ambition behind colonization. There are simply too many questions that still need answering, and continuing to invest in what should remain science fiction will never satisfy our insatiable curiosity. At the end of the day, what value does this bring to current Earthlings and our common home? As you think of this, we have written a song that sums up all of our major arguments, supporting that we should not go and colonize Mars. Note that visiting the planet would be preferred and not settling permanently. So we're gonna grab our mic and get right into it. Yee! We've been to the moon and seen stars, but that's not enough. And we could go ahead and colonize Mars, 'cause Elon Musk will never give up. And he says you can place your bets that SpaceX will settle people there soon. Within 15, 20 years or so, 'cause if the Earth is dying, we can just move. But such a human advancement would be at the price of 10 Olympic Games. And what about paying for the resources needed to travel 7 months in space? So why don't we stop and think about the consequences of humans inhabiting another planet? 'Cause Newton's third law states that anything that will happen will have an equal opposite reaction. And right now the debate's got so much friction. So why don't we stop and think about the consequence if we invest and think what's best for common sense. And let's look at the fact that Mars is really cold, and that it reaches an average temperature of 80 degrees below zero, and that it has a thin atmosphere with mostly CO2 as its air, and a gravitational acceleration of 3.72 that cannot be repaired. And don't forget that when it's sunny, there's no protection from cosmic radiation, and dust storms will not be our buddy, and plus all bodies of water are frozen. That's not really convenient. So why don't we stop and think about consequences of humans inhabiting another planet. Cause Newton's third law states that anything that will happen will have an equal opposite reaction. And right now the debate's got so much friction. So why don't we stop and think about the consequence when we invest and think what's best for mental stress. And ain't it funny to see money race up into Mars and the galaxy when there are people in need and in poverty? And space technology has curiosity, creating new things like memory foam pillows and better shoes for running. But becoming multi-planetary is not gonna save our species, and space discovery should be not for only business and greed. And we can't replace our dot of a planet, but for what it's worth, maybe it's time to actually take care of it and come back down to earth. So why don't we stop and think about the consequences of humans inhabiting another planet? Cause Newton's third law states that anything that will happen will have an equal opposite reaction. And right now their debate's got so much friction. So why don't